Hey everyone, Mr. Sujano here. In today's video, we are going to go over the patch notes for Street Fighter V. Let's get started. Now there are two major changes in this patch. The first change is in regard to the characters. Most of them receive some sort of tweak, I will say. And the second change is in regard to the matchmaking. I'll leave a link to these notes in the description below because there are a lot of changes here, a lot of minor tweaks to almost all of the characters in the roster. I won't go through each and every one of these characters because it would take quite a bit of time. But if you see one reoccurring theme here, it says extend the hitbox inward. Now extending the hitbox inward was almost universally applied throughout the roster, and if you're wondering what that means, here is a very easy chart put together by Tool Assisted. The image on the left is pre-patch, so this is what was in existence prior to the update. The image on the right here, or the right side of the image I'll say, is what is in place after the patch. The main difference between the two is that the image on the right you can see extends inward into the character's body. And basically at a high level, what this means is that it'll be easier. This red area here is what hurts the opponent. So it'll be easier here if you are trying to punch someone, for example, and you hit them with this area, it will now count as a hit. Previously, if you hit them with this area, it would not register as damage. Now at an even higher level of explanation, you will really notice this in close range combat. So if you are very close to the opponent, maybe sometimes the bodies are kind of overlapping and your character is more or less inside of their character. Sometimes you would throw out a move and it wouldn't connect. Well, now with these hitbox being moved inwards, the move will hopefully connect. Now, if you want even more detailed information, even more detailed frame data, I will leave a link to this website in the description below, but essentially this website will show you the changes for each character for each patch. And this will do it at a crazy high level. So for example, if I click on Alex here, click on the latest patch, and then click on one of his moves that did get changed. So if I check, I think it's this one right here that did get changed. It will bring up a chart with all of pretty much the relevant information, all of the information you really need to know. But feel free to check on any of your favorite characters here and see exactly what changed. Now my 2 cents on this one, if you don't really want to get into the nitty-gritty details, at least learn what changed on your character, because maybe now a certain move works better than it previously did. Now let's look at the multiplayer adjustments that they made. They didn't necessarily change the netcode per se, so if you were experiencing issues before, you still might be. If you weren't experiencing issues before, maybe you still won't. But what they did do is they changed their matchmaking criteria. And specifically what they did is they changed what each connection status means. So before, when you were selecting a match and you selected a 5-bar connection, it was less than 30 milliseconds. Now it is less than 20 milliseconds. Now that is in regard to ping or response time. So basically at a high level, the lower the millisecond, the better. So what they've done is they've kind of tightened up the guidelines here. For example, the 5-star connection now will do only 20 milliseconds or less, which is really good because in general for online gaming, a 20 millisecond or less ping is considered extremely good. Now, if you go higher than 20 milliseconds in ping at like 22 or 25, it's not necessarily bad in that regard, but I would say if you get up to close to 60 or 90 or 100, you will start to notice things. So from a matchmaking standpoint, this is an attempt to kind of shorten the distance between you and your opponent. If you're in Canada now, for example, chances are you probably won't get paired against someone from Mexico or someone from Brazil because there is very little chance that they will have a 20 millisecond ping to you. An easy way to understand these changes is essentially look at the connections. A connection of 4, for example, the 4-star or better, was previously their 5-star connection. So they've tightened up the guidelines that much that the previous 5-star connection is only good enough now to be considered a 4-star connection. What was considered a 4-star connection before is now known as a 3-star connection, and a previous 3-star connection is now known as a 2-star connection. Now I'm really happy with the introduction of this. What it will do is it might actually take longer to find a match now, considering the radius of where the player is going to be in relation to you will be shrinking. They'll have to be closer in order to maintain those pings. And that's a good thing. You want to play people close to you who do have a better connection because you'll have a better experience. Overall, I'm really happy about these matchmaking changes for Street Fighter V. Is this going to fix the netcode situation? No, they did make an improvement on the netcode situation, and this will hopefully tighten the connections up even more. Now, Capcom making these changes this late in the game for Street Fighter V is huge news. It shows they are listening and shows they do kind of care about the end user, the customer of these video games. You could disagree with that, but at the same time, I don't think they're going to rewrite the netcode completely for this game this late in the process for Street Fighter V. Street Fighter V has been around for quite a long period of time. They're probably already focused on Street Fighter VI. I can keep my fingers crossed here that they will carry on the trend of valuing netcode and valuing the multiplayer online experience and implement better processes for Street Fighter VI. Capcom could have just said, forget it, we're not going to spend the energy, because it was a free update. It didn't cost the players anything to get these changes. Now, in terms of these character adjustments, I'm actually pretty happy with them. Some people won't, maybe you were getting away with something before and you can't do it now. That usually happens with a patch, but at the same time, visually, I think this will really help a lot of people out. In this game, there are clipping issues, especially with, for example, hair clipping through your shoulders or clothing. It just looks really weird in that regard, but at the same time, the big clipping issue is with characters, with two characters when they're close together, throwing a punch or something like that, and you just see it not connect and you're wondering why. So this will be a lot easier, I think, to understand when things hit, when things don't, and I think it's a really good step forward. But anyways, that's all I've got for today. Let me know what you think about this update in the comments below. If you liked the video, leave a like. If you didn't like the video, leave a like. Hit that subscribe button, check out my other videos. Thank you everyone, take care.